Hey everyone, I'm Bryant, and today I'm going to tell you my best tip in stock investing. Then I'll give you 3 examples of picks I made, one of which that got me over 400% return. There were stocks that have grown way more, but those usually carry much higher risks. And the ones I picked were big established companies that had a very low risk of going under with a high potential upside. My advice isn't for you to invest in these stocks right now, rather it's to give you my mindset into why I invested in them so you can utilize the same thought process when picking your next stock. If you're a complete newbie investor who wants to make some money, just look up index funds and invest in those. But if you have any interest in eventually investing in individual companies, I think this will be really helpful. All right, let's just get right into it. What's the tip? It's pretty simple. It's just to invest in companies whose products you actually use. That's it. I could just end the video here. Too often I hear about balance sheets, income statements, market trends, and that's all great and super important. But while most investors and computer AIs are using the world's most sophisticated technology to try to decipher the tea leaves of the stock market and comb through every single data point, your subjective experience with a company or its product actually gives you a pretty big edge. And it might be your only edge because your experience is a data point the machine AI can't perfectly understand or replicate. So one of the first stocks I invested in was a software company called Salesforce. This was in late 2012 and it was selling around $35 a share. As of right now, the stock is at $180 or so. So essentially I got over a 400% return from when I invested. How did I know to invest in it though? I'm going to be posting my current positions in stocks, and you'll notice my cost of purchase is higher than the date I made my initial investment, but that's because I've already sold some or a lot of my stock. I always like to cash out when I'm in the money to hedge my risks and to reinvest, but that's just my personal investing style. So back to why I invested in Salesforce. In 2012, I just graduated from college and my first job was as an IT consultant. One of my first clients utilized a customer relationship technology, which was Salesforce. I had to actually take a basic training course to be a certified admin on the platform, and over the course of a few months, I was learning and using this software. I learned the value it provided, definitely more so than the average investor because I was in the space. I eventually bought a bunch of shares because I knew it worked and I knew many other companies were using it and looking for professionals that were trained in it. I also want to point out that I was very lucky, and that is always a big part of investing success, and someone that thinks otherwise might think too highly of themselves. I was fortunate enough to be in tech and having a client that was using a software that hadn't quite taken off yet. Using the software gave me the confidence to invest in it, and to this day, it's still doing really well. The second company I invested in is not so niche, and many of you are probably using its product right now, and that's T-Mobile. My mindset going into this one was a little different. When I invested in it, they weren't a client and I didn't have any behind the scenes knowledge of their company's workings. I was just an avid TV watcher. And what I noticed was their commercials. They were always incredibly inventive, colorful, and they were offering deals that no other company was doing. The packages were cheaper, there was unlimited data, and then eventually free international data. T-Mobile was on the forefront in providing value, and I felt a lot of the other companies having to match T-Mobile's new price points and offering a bunch of things that they never did before. This could have gone badly, as slashing prices and fun, expensive advertisement doesn't always pay off, but when a company is taking a risk, that's when they have the potential for the most growth. I bought my first share of T-Mobile late in 2013 when it was at $23, and today it's over $100 per share, which is over a 300% growth. In the same time period, Verizon has only had about 40% growth, while AT&T stock has fluctuated and it's hovering around $35 per share without any significant growth. While I bought the T-Mobile stock before I started using it, I actually did switch just a year or two later, and that's just based on my experience watching their commercials and seeing all the great deals they had. I never read a single balance sheet or analyzed a price to earnings ratio. I just wasn't at the level at the time, but it was fine. The final example is my riskiest and most recent investment, and I don't recommend you investing it. I allow a small part of my portfolio to take riskier positions on, but I did pick this stock following the very basic method I outlined, and that company is, drumroll, Spirit Airlines. Yes, the airline that's a meme for being bad in an industry that is already laughed at for having terrible customer service. Why the heck did I invest in Spirit, you might ask? Because I've flown in it. Probably 5 or 6 times now, more than some people, less than others. My first 2 experiences were terrible. I like saving money more than having respect for myself. But the last 2 experiences, something magical happened. It was not unpleasant, actually borderline pleasant. Their checkout kiosks were some of the most fast and efficient ones I dealt with at the airport, especially compared to the major regular priced airlines. And the flight attendants for Spirit all smiled, and they were nice, and they treated me like a human being. And I was like, what? It wasn't a fluke either, because twice they've been perfectly cordial and polite to me, and that's 2 more times than United or Delta. The big airlines have also started charging for carry-ons and not letting you choose your seat, but Spirit did it first. So again, like I saw in T-Mobile, whenever other companies are changing to adapt to the one you're looking at, you should look into who they're copying and why. I got into Spirit when it was around $12, and now it's been hovering around 18, so it's a pretty good return for less than a few months, but I'm not counting a single chicken before these eggs hatch. The airline industry is really chaotic at the moment, so I wouldn't invest any amount of money unless you are ready to lose all of it. I'm not confident in this stock, but the great thing about this way of picking stocks is that even if Spirit loses money, I don't mind quite as much because I saw their improvement and I want to support a company that I think is going in the right direction and treating its customers right. That affinity for the company allows me to accept whatever happens a little bit more, whether it goes up or down. And a big part of stock investing will always be controlling your emotions and being able to accept whatever happens. So this tip is just one part of how I found success in investing in individual companies. I recognize that when you got into the market during the time I did, almost everything was eventually going to be a winner, but these specific stocks significantly beat the market, as did a lot of my other picks using this method. Being financially literate and having a base knowledge of companies and trends is still very, very important. A lot of my choices were also based on which companies were taking a risk, and I saw potential in them trying to change. But don't ever forget what the word risk means. I wouldn't recommend you invest in individual companies without having a base amount of knowledge, nor should you invest just because you like the colors of a company or someone is nice to you, but combo your basic knowledge of the financials with your personal experience with the company, and I think that's a good position to make strong, educated stock picks. Thank you all so much for watching. Please hit the like button if you want to keep the stock market afloat, and I have a lot more informative videos coming out very soon, so stay tuned. What is your go-to method in picking stocks? Is it a certain number on their financial statements? Crystal balls? Let me know.